Welcome, crypto fam, to the #1 daily Bitcoin pod. Bitcoin back above 90 G's, pumping and in the green. 100K in play. I'll be breaking down the latest technical analysis as we do each and every day. And this just in, someone just moved 2,000 Bitcoin worth 179 million. They held from 6 cents to $90,000. Hodl be thy name. We'll also be discussing Goldman Sachs holds 710 million worth of the Bitcoin ETFs, according to their latest SEC filing. Also breaking news, Pennsylvania lawmaker introduces the bill for the strategic Bitcoin reserve, investing up to 10% of its funds into Bitcoin. This is major. Also, big news, 18 U.S. states file a lawsuit against SEC and Gary Gensler. You're fired, Gary. Now go home and get your shine box. We'll also be discussing Bitcoin to hit repeated all-time highs over and over and over again over the next 2 quarters, according to Van Eck. We'll also be discussing Bitcoin surging to 500,000 per coin if the U.S. adopts Bitcoin as a reserve asset, which we all know is in play with Trump at the helm. Just saying. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more in today's show. If you're new to the channel, very important to smash the likes and subscribe. 40% of you watching are not subscribed. I mean, what's going on? It's free to do so. Just hit the damn subscribe button, please. Today is pod episode 1819. I'm your host, JV. It's November 15, 2024. TGIF. Bitcoin back in the green, up 2,500. Surgeon, isn't it wild? Whenever I go live, Bitcoin pump it up. That's just how we roll.
Pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You've got to pump it up.
And I have a feeling we're just going to continue to rise. New all-time highs in play, price discovery in play, 100K in play, 100K, Bitcoin babe, 100K, 6 figs all day. So send it. But anyways, family, let's get right into things. Kicking it off with our market watch. Bitcoin back on the move. Up 2.5% on the day, trading above 90,800. Ether Solana took a back seat, correcting. Tron in the green, CRO in the green. XRP, the big gainer on the day, alongside Cardano, up 15 and 20% respectively. And checking out the coinmarketcap.com. The current crypto market cap sits just shy of the 3 trillion milestone, 2.98 to be exact, and we got roughly 205 billion worth of the volume for the past 24 hours. And the Bitcoin dominance is back on the climb, back above 60%, 60.1%, with the Ether dominance back on the decline at 12.3%. Womp womp. Take that, Vitalik. Stick to performing karaoke. They call that KTV over in the Asian continent. I know because I lived in China and they're all about the KTV. It's like a big thing. But yeah, Vitalik, stick to singing the Japanese jammy jams. It's just ironic, but it is what it is. But checking out the top 100 crypto gainers of the past 24 hours, we got Flair up 39%. Is that Ric Flair? Damn. Algorand up 23%, and the Scaramucci is going wild. And we also have a GOAT up 21%. Go figure. But let me know which alts you're most bullish on for the bull, and I'll read your comments out loud here shortly. And check out the crypto bubbles. We get a visual perspective on the daily. On the daily, as you can see on your screen, roughly 50% of the market in the green, 50% of the market in the red. And zooming out on the weekly, you got Peanut leading the pack. Rest in peace, Nut, up 1,643% on the day. And checking out the crypto greed and fear index. Yesterday we tapped a high of 88. A divine omen. Today is an 80, another divine omen, all those crazy 8s. But we're still in extreme greed, and the higher this number goes, the most likely we're to have a little correction or pullback. And checking out the time chain calendar, 179,546 blocks yet until the next halving of 2028. We're currently on block number 870,454. You can currently get 1,103 sats per dollar. Another divine omen, 11 hundo. But soon it's going to be under 11 hundo, and under 1,000, and under 500, and under 100. And maybe one day here soon, 1 sat will be a penny. And by that time, we'll have a $10 million Bitcoin price. And by the time 1 sat becomes $1, we're talking 100 million BTC. So stack them sats accordingly. And there you go. Yeah, so here's what's happening in the markets right now. I'll also be pulling up some of the live charts. Bitcoin price can hit 100K by Thanksgiving. Yes, we can hit 100K by this weekend. Let's not get it twisted. But anyways, you're looking at a 1-hour chart. Bitcoin circle key local lows November 15th as the bull swapped all-time highs for support retests, and we're climbing back up. Currently right back above 91,000. Expect more extreme volatility. That's just how the Bitcoin roll. But anyways, trading view showed the price dipped 87 Gs into the daily close, and after notching a new all-time high on November 13th, 90 Gs and above remained out of reach of support as the market returned to consolidate lower. The latest U.S. inflation data, the October print of the PPI, showed inflationary forces returning as the Federal Reserve cut the interest rates. That's right, PPI was 2.4% for October per data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 0.1% above expectations. Quoting the Kabisi letter, both the PPI and the CPI, inflation are now officially back on the rise, with the core inflation above 3%. Meanwhile, real inflation is like 20 to 30%, and they lie to you every time they get the chance because that's what the lizard people do. Quoting the Kabisi letter, the Fed's job is still far from done here. Now ostensibly problematic for the risk assets and the crypto, fresh financial policy hawkish as a result of the rising prices trickled back into the trader's consciousness. That's why we got the gong. We're raising consciousness one gong strike at a time, fam. And according to the CME FedWatch tool, the odds of another rate cut for December's meeting is 58%. As of November 15th, the day prior, it had stood at 82%. The Kabisi letter warned the rising prices in a weak labor market could lead to the Fed's new problem, stagflation. Quoting them here, this is a nightmare situation for the Fed because it puts them in a lose-lose situation. If you raise the rates, we head into a recession. If you cut the rates, Bitcoin goes to the moon. Inflation rises even further, just saying. And the Bitcoin running out of steam, so they say, on the back of the inflation figures and the cool language from Jay Powell. Analysis urged protection of the area around 87. 87 is the new bottom. Likely, the passive buyer in these three lows are around 87 Gs before it was finally taken, as Scoo shares here. Probably filled 800 plus BTC, which is also very contextual for this low, because if lost again, they would probably sell some of the portion of that risk. And meanwhile, we have material indicators that a return to the mid-80s range might ultimately be cathartic for the Bitcoin price strength. A retest of support of 86 would be healthy for the Biddy, and it will give us some insight as to whether the velocity of this Trump pump can be sustained for a soonish run to 100 Gs. And he also suggests that Bitcoin could hit the ultimate psychological target of 100 Gs in play. I'm saying this weekend. Let me know if you agree, disagree. And let's pull up some of the live charts, but I also want to point something out. Talk about legends. Someone just moved 2,000 BTC worth 179 million US dollars. They held HODL Gang since 6 cents to 90 Gs. This is how legends are made. And just a reminder, HODL be thy name, family. And let's pull up some of the live charts and see what's crack-a-lacking right now. Live it in the flesh as we continue to pump it up. Whoa, we're already at 91.2 and rising. Digging it. But yeah, this is the daily chart. Let's check out the 1 hour, 4 hour, and we'll go to the 1 week, the 1 month, get different looks. There's the 1 hour. There's a blue target, breakout at 105. On-chain analyst Willie Wu pointed, he believes we're going to get to 102 as like the next resistance. Pretty much in alignment here. And zooming out from the 1 hora, we'll check out the 4 hour Quattro Gacho. Shout out Mr. Corvette. Welcome to the HODL Gang. HODL Gang. HODL Gang. So yeah, as Bitcoin is back on a rise, trading above 91.2. As you can see on the 4 hour, looking pretty lit. Past 8 hours have been nothing but greenness, which we love to see. Very bullish chart overall. And we'll zoom out to the 1 week, also extremely bullish. We have the sexy cup and handle target in the red, sitting at 124 Gs. Baby, in play, Q4, send it. And also I want to pull out the 1 month extravaganza here. As you can see, big Moonvember candle rising. That puts to shame September and October combined, and we're only halfway through the motherfucking month. Let that one sink in. And there you go, yo. Thank you again, Mr. Corvette. Yeah, so let's discuss Goldman Sachs. You know, Gary Gensler used to work at Goldman Sachs, right? Before becoming the chairman of the SEC. Well, they just announced holding $710 million in the Bitcoin ETFs. But what about the Bitcoin kids? Yeah, the major global investment bank, once critical of the BIDI, disclosed significant holdings in the Bitcoin ETFs. November 14th, filings with the U.S. SEC said Goldman Sachs reported 718 million. Light stack, but nonetheless, in 8 Bitcoin ETFs, the report disclosed 461 million investment in BlackRock's IBIT. Obviously, they're the biggest one. The bank's latest quarterly holdings report revealed it added 300 milli to the Bitcoin ETF portfolio since the second quarter, a 71% increase. Goldman Sachs entered the spot Bitcoin ETF market in quarter 2, disclosing its first Bitcoin purchase for the ETF back in August, were 418 milli. And apart from the 461 million investment into IBIT, Goldman Sachs now also holds 96 million in the Fidelity Wise Origin Bitcoin Fund, 72 million in the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust ETF, and around 60 million in Invesco as outlined right here. Additionally, Goldman Sachs holds 22.5 million worth of Bitwise Bitcoin ETFs, so they're diversified across the majority of the ETFs. 3 million in ARC21 shares ETF, and about 4 million into the Grayscale Bitcoin Mini Trust ETF, and around 800,000 into the Wisdom Tree Bitcoin Fund. And apart from the massive Bitcoin ETF investments, Goldman Sachs revealed 22 million investments into Ether ETFs, including 22 million investment into the Grayscale Ethereum Mini Trust ETF and 2.6 million into the Fidelity Ethereum Fund. Goldman Sachs execs used to heavily slam the BIDI. Times have changed, haven't they? Full 180 here. Goldman Sachs is widely known for bashing Bitcoin with criticism, so it's ironic. In 2020, Goldman Sachs slammed Bitcoin and crypto, arguing they are not an asset class, not a suitable investment for its clients. You know why they were saying that? They always knew it was a viable asset class. They were just trying to FUD the market, suppress the price before they get in. You know what I mean? They wanted to buy on the low. They didn't want Bitcoin to reach the escape velocity before positioning themselves. You feel me? Just 101. Now, even after the Goldman Sachs launch in his limited Bitcoin derivatives trading desk in May of 2021, see, they had a Bitcoin derivatives trading desk in May 2021 as they were fudding the BIDI. Kind of reminds me of the corruption of Jamie Dimon, as I call him, the Chase CEO. But nonetheless, criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money launderer, tax avoidance. Yeah, so we do not think it as an investment class, they said, comparing the recent crypto enthusiasm to the tulip mania. Anyone comparing Bitcoin to the tulip mania of the 1600s is either purposely fudding you because they work for the lizard folk, or they are literally retarded. I don't know which one that may be here, but you do the math. Keep the comments flowing, fam. This is live and interactive. I'm going to be streaming for the next 90 minutes as Bitcoin continues its pump to new all-time highs. Price discovery in play. Next story, yo. Let's discuss big news coming out of PA. That's right, Pennsylvania, dog. Their lawmaker introduced a bill for strategic Bitcoin reserve. This was the big news yesterday, so let's break her down. Pennsylvania lawmakers, how many of you are in PA? Let me know. Have introduced legislation in the State House of Representatives to permit its treasury to hold up to 10% in Bitcoin on its balance sheet. Respect. Now, in a November 12 memo, we had Mike Cabell, representative, Republican, said he proposed the bill as a tool to protect against inflation, claiming using the BIDI as a hedge could offer stability in uncertain economic times. Preach. The legislation, if passed, would allow Pennsylvania treasurer to invest up to 10% of the state general fund, the rainy day fund, and the state investment fund into the BIDI. As of Moonvember, the state's treasury reported it had more than $9.7 billion in the general fund and roughly $7 billion in the rainy day fund. What a name for a fund, the rainy day fund. I dig it. Put all of it into the BIDI. Cabell cited investment firms BlackRock, aka Black Hack, and Fidelity turning to the BIDI to shield their portfolios from economic volatility. The lawmaker introduced the bill into the Pennsylvania House November 13th. Now, the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Bill introduced in Pennsylvania's representative appeared to be modeled after a framework proposed by the Satoshi Action Fund, a Bitcoin advocacy group. Now, Representative Aaron Coffer co-sponsored the legislation, but it was unclear whether it had enough votes to pass. In addition to the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Bill, introduced as HB 2664, the Pennsylvania House passed legislation in October to establish the regulatory framework for protecting the self-custody in the crypto payments. Now, the Satoshi Action Fund authored the Bitcoin Rights Bill. It's already published on the government website, as I shared with you earlier in the stream. It's HB 24 81. The state-level initiative built upon promises made by Republican lawmakers in the U.S. government, and after the results of the U.S. election were announced, Republican Senator Cynthia Lummis said she planned to have the lawmakers pass the bill to build a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the United States of America. Republicans will have the majority control of the Senate, hallelujah, starting in 2025, just when you thought things couldn't get any more bullish. And of course, I'll share with you some of the, some of the OGs and what they're thinking is likely to occur as a result of this big news. But welcome, everyone, just joining the live. We're going to be discussing Gary Gensler being sued by 18 states, Gary and the SEC, for overreaching and taking advantage of investors in the crypto sphere when he's supposed to be protecting you. Is he really protecting you? Has he been protecting you? I think not. What happened with Bankman-Fried? Did Gensler protect you against that scheme? Sure didn't. What about Three Arrows Capital? Did Gensler protect you against that scheme? Nope. What about Terra Luna? Surely the chairman of the SEC protected the investors against that scheme? Nope. You're fired, Gary. Now go home and get your shine box, Gary. You're no longer welcome on the stream. Take that, lizard folk. Hopefully all the states, all 50 states add themselves to that lawsuit against Gary. All of them. Come on, I encourage you. All of the states, all 50. Can we include territories? Throw Puerto Rico in there. Maybe we'll do 53. Can we do Hawaii and Guam? Let's all create lawsuits against Gary. Why not? That mofo needs to be taught a lesson. Can't just let him sail into the sunset, worth hundreds of millions of dollars after virtually crippling crypto for the past 4 years since he took office after Clayton. Unacceptable, Gary. Unacceptable. No apologies. What does he answer to no one? He think he Jay Powell working for the Fed? Come on, Gary. You got to answer to the POTUS. And the POTUS is about to fire you. So you better put your head down, put your tail between your legs, and walk away like a good little girl. Because you're about to get slam, dun, dun, we let the boys be boys. Anyways, yeah, he didn't protect us from Gemini Earn. He protected you from nothing. In fact, because of him, I dare say that you probably most likely lost money from one of the investments you had when Gary went after that, such as XRP, Kraken, Gemini. Name an exchange that the SEC didn't go after. What are they, the mafia? They're just shaking down any company in crypto worth billions of dollars? That's what it seemed like. How much did they collect between the Department of Justice and the SEC from CZ? Over $4 billion. That's on the low end. Just the settlement with the Department of Justice was $4 billion, like $4.1 billion, then hundreds of millions to the SEC. SEC, new lawsuit, every day, new lawsuit, new lawsuit. Screw the SEC. Screw Gary Gensler. You're only as good as the boss at the helm. And what does it tell us having Gary the Worm at the helm of the SEC? The entire organization is shady until you get rid of that corrupt mother that doesn't belong up there to begin with. No different than Biden. The entire U.S. government is corrupted from the top down. It all starts at the top. You know what I mean? We can thank God for having Satoshi creating Bitcoin because he's a legitimate, good human being. So it's not created by the lizard folk, at the top. Because if the lizard folk control the pyramid, you're done. They're just setting you up for failure. I don't make the rules. It's just the way the life is played out. You got to play your hands. You got to know when to fold them and when to hold them. You got to know when to hodl. Next story of the day. Let's get into Gensler. 18 U.S. states file lawsuit against SEC chair Gary Gensler. 18 U.S. states filed a lawsuit against the SEC and their chairman, accusing financial regulator of gross government overreach. Couldn't agree more. Against the nascent, meaning new, crypto industry. Very small, this crypto market in the grand scheme of the total addressable market for finance is north of $400 trillion, according to Max Kaiser. The plaintiffs include Nebraska, Tennessee, Wyoming, Kentucky, West Virginia, Iowa, Texas, Mississippi, Ohio, Montana, and others. Here's what it reads. The Securities and Exchange Commission has not respected this allocation of authority. Instead, without congressional authorization, the SEC sought to unilaterally wrest regulatory authority away from the states through the ongoing series of enforcement actions election. That's right. According to the Blockchain Association, the SEC's various legal actions against crypto industry have collectively cost crypto firms $426 million since 2021 to litigate. Industry executives have long criticized the agency's lack of coherent digital asset policy as the biggest hurdle developers face in the US of A. That's right. Following the election of Trump, a shakeup of the SEC's leadership is widely expected by investors and industry execs and may come as early as January 2025. We know Trump takes office, I believe, is January 20th. Yeah, I mean, several individuals are reportedly being considered as potential replacements for Gensler, including SEC Commissioner Mark Ueda, who has been an outspoken critic of Gensler's compliance through enforcement approach. Ueda appeared on Fox Business in October to discuss regulatory climate surrounding crypto, calling Gensler's policy is a disaster for the whole industry. That's right. And also Dan Gallagher, Robinhood's chief legal compliance and corporate affairs officer, also is being considered for the role. Gallagher was an SEC commit. Wasn't that like an Atari video game? Gallagher. Between 2011 and 2015, and was gearing up to fight against the Wells notice sent by the SEC to Robinhood in crypto May. Despite the looming promise of removal from the incoming prez of the U.S., Gensler doubled down on his anti-crypto rhetoric in a speech prepared for the Practicing Law Institutional 56th Annual Institute on Securities Regulation, November 14th, quoting them here. This is a field in which over the years has been significant investor harm. Yeah, that's because of you, you retarded Gensler, you cockroach. Now go home and get your shine box, you're fired. He also says, aside from speculative investing and possible use for illicit activities, the vast majority of crypto assets have yet to prove sustainable use cases. Now, while Gensler may have a point in that last piece of rhetoric, I mean, there's a lot of scams in crypto. We can all agree. He has done absolutely nothing to protect us from the real scams. He's been going after all the legitimate crypto exchanges, right? Is Coinbase not legit? Is Kraken and Gemini not legit? These are the OGs. So I trust nothing Gary says. He works for the lizard people. Whether or not he's a lizard person, who knows? Who cares? But he sure as hell works for them. He's not on our side. Maybe before he was anointed, yes, I said anointed, as the chairman of the SEC, maybe he was one of us, but probably not. He's a Goldman Sachs, former, you know what I mean? They not like us. Bankers are not us. Totally different folk around yonder. So yeah, check this one out. I love this headline, by the way. Bitcoin to hit repeated all-time highs over the next 2 quarters. I repeat, Bitcoin to hit repeated. Put it on repeat. All-time highs over the next 2 quarters. And this is according to an asset management giant by the name of Van Eck. That's right. Bitcoin's record-breaking rise since the U.S. elections, November 5th, expected to continue and continue. An investment manager and fund issuer, Van Eck, is targeting a price of $180,000 for summer next year, quoting him here from CNBC Squawk Box. It is just getting started, he said. We are now in the blue sky territory. No technical resistance. And we think we are likely to make repeated all-time highs over the next 2 quarters. That's a 50 cent. Bitcoin has risen about 30% since November 5th. Thank you, Trump. Leading a wider crypto rally after the pro-crypto Trump election. Being elected president for the new term, he goes in office officially January 20th. It's continued to reach new all-time highs with its current peak set November 13th, which we captured here live on stream 2 days ago, hitting virtually 93,500. On Coinbase. Bitcoin's rally has slightly cooled off as of November 15th, but we're currently just above 91,000 at the time of the live. Extreme volatility is to be expected, fam. Siegel said the number of the calls he's getting from investment advisors who either have no Bitcoin exposure or want to increase it is starting to accelerate, and we think the flows are going to follow. Siegel said the Van Eck is expected a post-election pump, and it's currently following the same pattern as after the 2020 elections. Deja vu, eh? When it doubled in the months between voting day and year end. Are you ready for Bitcoin to double? Let this sink in. 180,000 is a double. That's what's up. Our target is 180,000, he said. We think we can reach that next year. I think we can reach that this year. Let that one sink in. That would be 1,000% return from the bottom to the peak of the cycle. And that is the smallest Bitcoin cycle by by far. He said a number of the indicators of the Van Eck tracks are still flashing the greeny green for the rally to continue. Meanwhile, Google search volumes for the Biddy and the Coinbase app ranking Apple to Google stores are both still nowhere near where they were 4 years ago. We got some more upwards action Jackson in play. Google trend data shows searches for Bitcoin to hit a peak May of 2021, but search interest has nearly tripled since around that for the start of Moonvember. Coinbase is the top-ranking finance app for the U.S. Apple App Store in 16th place overall, while Google Play ranks its 5th for its finance apps and 66th overall as per app figures. So there you go, yo. What's up with the 180 Gs? Let me know your thoughts and I'll read them comments out loud. Now for our feature story of the day. Bitcoin can surge to 500,000 per coin if the U.S. adopts Bitcoin as a reserve asset, says billionaire Mike Novogratz. That's right. And you already know Bitcoin's going to become a strategic reserve asset. Cynthia Lummis already has the bill. Something like the U.S. buying 1 million Bitcoin over the next course of 5 years, which is virtually 200,000 Bitcoin being purchased per year. Send it. So here's the story, yo. Novogratz is forecasting the potential price trajectory of Bitcoin if the incoming administration of the President Trump adopts Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. And already looks like it's a done deal if you're to ask me. But let me know your thoughts. In the Bloomberg interview, Novogratz says Bitcoin can skyrocket by over 400%. Wow, 400%, bro. Let that one sink in considering we're above 90 Gs from the current level of the U.S. builds a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Because guess what? Trump already said he would. He already announced it at the Bitcoin Nashville, Tennessee event. And Cynthia Lummis spoke right after Trump, doubling down. So yeah, Cynthia Lummis promised soon after Trump won the presidential election. Quoting her here, if we get the Bitcoin reserve, and as a guy that owns a lot of Bitcoin, oh, I guess this is Novogratz, my bad. If you get a Bitcoin reserve and as a guy that owns a lot of the Bitcoin, I will not cry. And if you see me crying, they will be crocodile tears. I think Bitcoin has the 500 Gs. Let me know if you agree or disagree with Novogratz. And according to Novogratz, the potential adoption of the Bitcoin as a reserve asset by the U.S. could have a ripple effect globally, not to be confused with XRP though. It is a whole different paradigm because it forces every other country, and countries are already buying. And I've got a dear friend, the guy who turned me on to Bitcoin in 2013, who's in the Middle East right now. And he said he has never seen anything like it. He's convincing more people to buy the Biddy. In the 3 days he has been there and any time his whole career, there's huge pools of capital and we're seeing something globally. When Trump advocated in Nashville that he was going to be a crypto president, a Bitcoin president, and now he's the president. Let me tell you something. Other leaders heard that. And so I think we are strapping in for what could be an amazing rally. Thanks, Captain Obvious, but hey, what the heck. The Galaxy Digital CEO says there's a low probability that the U.S. could adopt Bitcoin as a reserve asset. I don't know why he thinks it's a low probability, but I want to point a couple of things out about Novogratz, just to be fair. At the Bitcoin Miami conference a couple of years back, he is the infamous one who was showing off his Luna tattoo, which ended up being a Ponzi scheme. So is he a little shady? More than likely. More than likely. So I think there's a very high probability of the United States adopting Bitcoin as a reserve asset, but I want to know your thoughts, and I'm just going to read you one more quote from him. I don't necessarily think the dollar needs anything to back it up. What is he, retarded? We have the strongest military in the world. We have a dominant economy in the world, and the reserve currency we have earned. And to need to back up the reserve currency is counterintuitive. Again, trust nobody, verify everything, but nonetheless, that's his personal thoughts. My personal thinking here, I believe Bitcoin will get adopted as a U.S. strategic reserve asset for the United States. And I think 500,000 is some bullshit prediction. 800,000 as a low. I agree with Max Kaiser. Max says Bitcoin's going to hit 800 Gs. If you missed the podcast where I just recently covered that, be sure to check it out. And here's the bill. Check this out. This is already official, so this is not like hearsay. Senator Lummis, S4912 bill, Bitcoin Act of 2024, introduced into the U.S. Congress for vote. Here's the proof. Here's the website from the congress.gov website. This is the actual bill, and you can actually see it. I'm going to click on it. Look at that. S4912 Bitcoin Act of 2024. You see that? It's already a done deal. It's happening. It's happening, family. And as you can see here, it breaks down some more of the details of the bill. I'm not going to read verbatim for you, but I just wanted to point that out. And as Marty Party shared here, the bill, the Act, Bitcoin Act of 2024, introduced to the U.S. Congress for a vote. A, purchase not more than 200,000 Bitcoins per year over a 5-year period for a total acquisition of 1 million Bitcoin, which is practically 5% of the circulating supply. B, conduct purchases in a transparent, strategic manner to minimize the market disruption. And C, hold Bitcoin acquired under this section in trust for the United States as provided in this section. What are your thoughts? 500 G's. Holla, and welcome everyone to the Q&A segment of the live stream as Nipsey continues to lick himself. Sailor says U.S. Bitcoin reserves is a done deal. Exactly what I'm trying to say. So it's very ironic to me that Novogratz would go out there and start fudding, saying that's a very low probability. Is he trying to FUD Bitcoin and promote some other shit coins? I mean, that's his background, so I honestly don't know what to think of that. But to me, it seems very clear, like a no-brainer. The United States is moving towards that direction because the president is pro-Bitcoin and his entire team is pro-Bitcoin. And when you got a crypto Bitcoin team, what does the Bitcoin team do? Adopt the Bitcoin, right? So it only makes sense. And look at the Nipinator. We got the next Nipinator indicator, new all-time high in play.